Hello everyone, it's Hessie. Today I will be breaking down one of my thread themes. Last time I broke down a background song I made for Sunken Resort, and this time I will break down the Sunken Resort thread theme. For this series I will only be breaking down songs that I like, and songs that I'm proud of. I will be skipping lots of things. I'll probably will break down like just a couple of songs just for the fun of it, because why not? Uh, a little background on this region, right? This region was actually something I saw in my dream. Like I saw this region in my dream for some reason, and like for some reason I was a slug cat, and I was roaming around, and I was in this dream in this region, and it was really weird, and I liked it, and I described it to my friend Bubble, and Bubble was like, "Oh, that's very inspiring," and they made the region come true. And they made a few rooms, and I just like based on my explanation, they made a few rooms, and it was pretty spot on, and it was like beautiful, and I was very inspired, and I wanted to make them some music for it, which I did, and yeah, that's how the region came to be. Um, as for the threat of this region, actually, it was originally something I made as a demo for something else, uh, but then that was scrapped, and I didn't want to just like get rid of this threat, so I decided to repurpose it and change things to make it sound more fitting for that region, and it actually worked pretty well, and I think it sounds good. I think it's more fitting for this than what it was originally made for. That's why it was scrapped in the first place. And so yeah, let's get into it. Uh, this pad layer and this base layer actually work hand in hand. They kind of it's like you could call the pad layer the call, and then the base layer could be the answer to the call. And I just wanted it to like kind of like I wanted it to sound like a conversation. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah. So it's that just repeating from time to time. This is a pad called the Shadow Soft. It's basically a bell, like a stretched out bell. I've got a couple effects here. This is like my holy grail when it comes to adding effects to instruments for thread themes. I always use this specific reverb and this specific delay. This is the ping pong delay. It's a delay that just kind of pans the different delay from this side of the ear to that side of the ear, from left and right, and just makes things kind of work without any effects. This pad sounds like this. Not much really, but you know, it's nice with the effects. And then I'll play the bass layer next. So you can see how they're basically it's like kind of working together, and like they complement each other well. Uh, the bass instrument is yeah, a house bass. I use this bass a lot because I love house music and I just love the sound of it. It's got a vibe. I don't know. It just reminded me of what this region essentially is. It's like a humongous bath resort that's been in the middle of the ocean, and it's sunken, and it's full of seawater, and like now it's covered in plants and animals, and I don't know why a house base gave me like a fitting vibe. It just did. It just made sense to me. And and then it changes over here. It goes up, which adds like a bit of tension when it goes up at the end, and it comes back. And like threat music is all about creating suspense, and it has to be upbeat. It needs to give the player motivation to escape or to fight, right? And I just want to like make a bass melody here, which like kind of gives into something that would be upbeat and like very suspenseful. So yeah, together it sounds fun. Yeah, so those are the two first melodic layers. Next we have the arps. Uh, oh wait, actually I didn't talk about the effects I've got on the bass. On the bass, I got a few. First, phase 45 is actually really interesting. It basically moves the frequency up and down, like it in a loop. Basically, the frequency raises up and comes back down from time to time. You can actually hear what it sounds like without it, versus what it sounds like with it. It's very subtle, but you can hear it. You can hear it go up and go down, go down. If I actually yeah, that's what it sounds like with the phase all the way up to 10, which like makes the frequency go up and down really fast. But it's at like 5, 5.23 or so. Then there's ST chorus, which is also very similar. What it does, it makes the frequency of something go up and down, and it adds the chorus effect. Chorus effect is used a lot in like normal music production. It's like a go-to effect that people use in production. It's not very, you can't hear it that well without it. It's like, right? But then with it, you hear a little bit of a shimmery kind of like crispiness to it. You can feel the frequency changing as it goes. Along with phase 45, these two pair well to make something sound more, like make something more drony, alieny kind of. The frequency changing constantly is pretty much candy to the ears. It just adds depth and texture. Right? Then we got my classic ping pong delay over here, which I've actually, on the left side of the ear, you hear like a 1/4 beat delay, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4. But then on the right side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a 1/8 of a beat, and that like makes, I don't know, it basically also makes it sound more interesting than just a regular delay, right? So one ear you're hearing bum bum bum, and the other you're hearing bum 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 bum, and it like just adds more depth. When you're listening, when you hear two different sounds on both ears, it just makes things more interesting. If both of these were on 1/4, it would sound like this. And at that point, it gets like the bass notes start layering on top of each other. It doesn't sound that nice. So I like to keep it at 1/8 here, which just makes the melody also a bit more complex. And the gain here is just to make things a bit louder, because it wasn't loud enough even at the highest setting here. So yeah, that's the bass. Then we can move on to the arps. The arp layers, yeah. First section, it goes like this. Right? And it's going really fast, and I wanted to create even more, like, even more suspense at a driving feel. And I wanted it to sound kind of like rushing water. Like, I wanted to convey the vibe of a really, like, of the rapids, just water rushing through really fast, and like, everything being a bit chaotic. The chord progression here is pretty simple. Yeah, so it's A, B, A, C, basically. That's how it's going. First we have A, then something different, then we have A again, and then we have something even more different. This is actually used a lot in all sorts of things, where you make something familiar and then add something in between, and show the familiar thing again and bring something new. It's like something to basically make things interesting. And for the second part, I just transposed this up by 1 octave to up the ante, I guess. is like, to like, it's like a second dropped to make like the player feel more anxious and more on their feet. The instrument I've used here is a log drum. Log drums are usually used as bass, mostly in amapiano music from South Africa, used in lots of Afro music, and it's like, it's a lovely instrument. It's very nice, like on its own as a bass. Yeah, around here. That's it adds a very rich kind of nice bassy sound, and it works as a drum too, right? But here I've pitched it up and used it as a synth, which is not its intended use, but hey, why not? It gave me like the right feeling I wanted. Again, I've used Phase 45 here, but at a much higher speed, which you can hear. You can actually hear it, like without, right? But with it, a kind of wobbly feel, which like made me think of water. Like that wobbly feel was very, it's juicy, it's very watery. I liked it. And then of course, ping pong delay again with both and 1/8, which with the delay going that fast, it like amplifies that rushing, watery feel. Then I've used auto filter here. Yeah, I've used the auto filter to, yeah. So, in certain songs before the drop, everything sounds like it's underwater. That is usually done with a low pass filter. Low pass filter, LPF here. Low pass filters make just things more muffled, basically how it sounds like if you heard this underwater. And because this is a water region, I wanted the ARPs to sound like it's underwater, like it's muffled. So I use a low pass filter, and it just makes things a bit different. Yeah, and also removes a lot of those very high frequencies that might like be a bit jarring on the ears. Then there's also reverb, which actually no, I haven't used reverb. Reverb was just for mixing the song. There's no reverb in this layer. We can just remove that. Ignore that. But yeah, that's the arpeggio. And with the pads and the bass, this sounds really nice. Like everything blends well together. When everything blends well together, it just like the cohesion makes it a bit pleasing to the ear. I do wish that I had mixed this a bit better so I could hear the bass and the pads individually a bit better, but I don't know, I guess there's nothing I can do about it now. And then we can go to the lead, actually. The lead here is a steel pan. I used the steel pan instrument quite a bit in the Sunken Resort OST. Steel drum, rather. And steel drums are stereotypically a very tropical instrument, and it's like, it's the under the sea instrument from A Little Mermaid. It's like basically this this instrument basically means ocean at this point, from how much it's been used for ocean levels and ocean themed things. And the steel drum is a percussive instrument and it's rarely used as a lead, I think. But I mean, it worked here, and I wanted to add more to that watery vibe. So again, there you can see I used the ABAC method, I guess, where I have the same note twice and then something different in between. And again, I've got ping pong delay on this, and this time on the left ear you hear it 1/4, and on the right ear you hear it 1/8, which is like this. And here there's a bit of dissonance there, which you can hear because of the delay, but it's not very noticeable, and I think it adds character, It adds a bit of character. This setting, this effect. I'm not sure what it does. Yeah, what that does, it makes the uh, it makes the frequency, or it makes adds resonance where like the frequency wobbles back and forth, like a adds like a vibrating kind of effect, which again makes things feel more watery. I've used a pumper here too. Yeah, this pumper is going really fast. I think, yeah, 1/16 notes. It's basically, hold on. Again, that was to make a more rushing feel, for like the notes to feel more broken up without the pumper, and then with. Yeah, just to make things phase back in and out. Again, to add more of an upbeat, rushy feel, because I wanted that when the lead comes in, that's when you're in big trouble, right? Like the arpeggio goes up by an octave, closer to the end of the layer, the lead also goes up by an octave. And then it comes back down. Which is like, again, to up the ante, to like show that you're still in danger, and at this point the lead has gone up by a notch, just to make things, scary again. Then we can move on to the percussion. The kick here is a very simple kick, I think. Yeah. So the kick is not like the stereotypical normal rainwood kick, where it would just be like a heartbeat, like doop, 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 doop. Here I used a famous drum pattern. I don't know what this drum pattern is called, but it's used a lot in mostly hyperpop music. Yeah, this is like a similar kick pattern to the Verdant Waterways kick of the beat in that. It's like a, yeah, that I don't know. I don't know what it's called, but it's this bit, like this very kick pattern. Here it's a very simple kick. It's just not much. Then there's a shaker I've used here, which I've put bit crusher on. Bit crusher basically reduces the quality of the audio to make it sound, to like increase the bits, I guess. It makes things crunchy. Without bit crusher and with. And bit crusher is used a lot in rainbow music. It's basically something that has become synonymous with pixels and pixelated artwork. Usually 8-bit video games have 8-bit music, right? And then this is also another commonly used shaker pattern in Rainbow. This same shaker pattern is used a lot in lots of the thread themes. It's used in the Outskirts thread theme, it's used in the Garbage Waste thread theme, it's used in the Chimney Canopy thread theme, where it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And something I've done here is I've reduced the velocity of a few notes. You can hear it repeat here and there. So this segment, I've taken this segment, selected it, and then clicked randomize. I clicked randomize to randomize the velocity of certain parts, where it just makes things sound more human, because, if a person was actually playing shaker, not every single beat would sound the same at the same volume. So these few notes here are much more quiet than these. And that's just to add more flavor, more variation, so that you don't get bored when listening. So I selected just one part, randomized it, copy-pasted it, and then copied and pasted it for the rest of the beat, so that it stays a bit more cohesive, but like it's not the same sound all the way. So it gets loud and it goes back down. Randomize and humanize are both settings that you can use to make things sound like it's being played by a human, less robotic and less monotone. Then there's the snare. The snare doesn't do much. It's got a very simple beat. added a bit of like, fill-ins and stuff here and there to make it interesting and not boring. And again, with the fill-ins, I've messed up with the velocity to make things sound more human. Oh no. There you go. See, the velocities of these two notes, as you can see over here, are different. That's just to make, it sound less jarring when it comes in. Like here we have 100%, then 85, then 83, and then 92. And again, there's like, here, because the notes are repeating, to make it sound less jarring, I turned down the velocity of just the second parts. But yeah, that little shuffle over there, I didn't want it to be the same velocity, because that wouldn't have sounded so nice. Because if it was at the same velocity, it wouldn't be very pleasing. It would just like fill in the ear, and it's not that nice. And it's also very robotic, right? Then we have the percussion. I actually really like this percussion. Oh wait, hold on, I didn't really get into the snare sample. It's not that much. It's also another sound I got from BandLab Sounds, probably. Going to samples, clicking the search bar, going to filters, and then just going to one-shots, and then searching for a shaker. And then you'll get these one-shots that you can use in your songs. You can use all of these one-shots in your songs, and you can edit them however you like. Here I turned down the tone a bit, and just done a few things to make it work. Yeah, then we can move on to the percussion. Percussion I've used here again is a random perk I found somewhere in BandLab Sounds. Like, I don't know, something random. And I've added Bit Crusher to that as well. Without Bit Crusher, it sounds like this, but with a bit more crunch, Lower quality is not always bad. It just makes things, again, texture. Adding texture is something very important to make things less boring. But yeah. It's very repetitive, but I just wanted it to be like, again, filling in your ears and making things more upbeat and making you want to move, want to get out of there. Then there's backing. Here I actually made the backing as normal, and then I exported it as a WAV file and then edited that to get this. I don't have the MIDI version of this, but yeah. What I've used here is a harp. Let me just get the kick so it sounds right. It's basically just the harp going on the half beat, and just constantly playing that loop. And I think I've added a lot of phase 45 and all sorts of it's not, you can't see it here because I exported it as a MIDI, but I added phase 45 and chorus effect to make it move around your ears and just kind of swish and swash around. And you can see I made the volume come up and down at certain points, so that when you can't hear it very well with the rest of the beat, but I wanted it to like appear in your ears from time to time. Then there's noise. I think I might have just taken a noise sample from one of the actual Rainbow threats and just used it here. Yeah, it's either a noise from an actual Rainbow threat theme, or I found it somewhere in BandLab Sounds or somewhere in freesound.org. Freesound.org is another website that I use to find sound clips and stuff to sample. And I actually got that hack from a very well-renowned Rainbow musician, Snoodle. Snoodle told me that I could go on Freesound and get some cool stuff. I asked him where he gets his samples, and he said that he gets a lot of it from there. So as I was saying, I do use Freesound to get a lot of my stuff. The main way that I've learned how to make music is by asking and learning from other music creators like Snoodle and Roasted and Matvis. They're all really great musicians, and they've all, taught me a lot of cool things, and I won't be here where I am right now without them, and I owe a lot to them. They're very great people, and they make amazing music, you know? Um, yeah. Then we can get into the melodics on their own and the percussions on their own. Um, as you can hear, just the melodics are all very spaced out, full of reverb and delay, and it just sounds very spacey and, whooshy and drony. Right? And to cut through and add contrast to all that whooshy, spacey music, I've made the percussive elements more sharp and short, and just to make it just to add texture to all that reverby, spacey messiness, right? So it's a very simple, put together. Like just these four layers on their own are pretty simple. It's a commonly used um, drum pattern and just a shaker and a percussion. It's straightforward, and it basically complements all these spacey, reverby melodics I've got going on here. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. That's the end of the breakdown for now. Hope you enjoyed. Hope I taught you guys something. Hope this made it more clear as to how I make my threats and my music. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.